Hello, party people. Who is here with me? Anybody here yet? Get some water so we can kick this off. Finally, Friday. I'm pretty excited about today's topic. Something that I started a while ago when I came here. And I want to talk to you a little bit more about it in this kind of new form, where we're talking right to you. So as you're joining, please, 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 in the comments, let me know where you're from, where you're from, and that you're here, and that you can hear me okay. That would be super, super helpful. Want to make sure we don't have any audio issues going on. Where's everybody from? Looks like we have 2 watching so far. Let me know that you can hear me. Let me know that you can hear the audio coming through. That would be awesome sauce. Also, if you joined us last night, I want to know your thoughts. Paul Giroux, such a good dude. I mean, he's just a super nice guy, willing to jump in literally at a moment's notice. And I was like, you know what? I think that the people that watch our live show, they would enjoy your talk. So hopefully you check that out and found some inspiration. Raul says, audio is good. Checking in from Strongsville. Hello, Raul. Tech Gear Talk says, what's up, TJ? Lighting looks strong. Thank you very much. So I kind of moved some things around in the office. Again, I want to eat my own dog food. So if you watch my earlier live stream, it was kind of like I was off to the side and I was looking at you guys. And I took my advice that I was sharing with you guys and kind of changed things around for today. So looking right at the camera, I got my screen down below. Bet you didn't even know there's a screen down below with the presentation going on. And it just helps me connect with you guys on a more direct fashion and make this whole process a little bit easier. So without further ado, it looks like we have 1 minute to go. Let us know where you are tuning in from. It looks like we have about 4 viewers on here. Let us know where you're coming in from, and let us know what you're out there shooting. We want to know. We want to know from you guys what you guys are shooting. So about a minute left and we will get kicked off. Checking in from Pixel HQ. Hello, Pixel Connection. All right, we got more joining us. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Hello, everybody. My name is TJ Houston. I am the Business Development Manager here at Pixel Connection. One of the things that I am super, super passionate about is educating others and helping others kind of get to their creative goals. And our topic today is Friday Focus. So this is something that we send out every week. And it's not a sales email. It's not asking to open up your wall, anything like that. It's really just the photographic news from the week that you might have missed. It's the news, it's some rumors, and it's some tutorials that we found were super helpful because we want you to be inspired going into this weekend. So if you're not on that email list, you can head over to our website and sign up for that weekly email. So there's a lot of news going on. There's a lot of news out there. There's a lot of things going on. So what I want to do is kind of bring all of the photo news back to you guys, kind of away from all the other news. So who else do we have here? Pam is showing up from Southern Indiana. Hello, hello, hello. And thank you for joining. I appreciate it. So let's go ahead and get started. Make this a little bit bigger. There we go. So a few housekeeping notes. Number one, we have Pixel HQ in the chat to answer any of your questions. So if anything that we talk about today it's the news hour, if you will, please feel free to put a comment in the put a message in the comments below, and we will be absolutely more than glad to assist you. We are still open. So the only day that we're closed is Sunday. So we are open from 1 to 5 for curbside pickup. So if you need something, you can call us, you can message us on Instagram. We'll take care of that for you and run it out to your car. And like I've said in previous webcasts, if you don't even want to talk to us or get us near, anything near us, you can just pop your trunk. We'll drop everything in your trunk for you, and then you can take off. So we are still open. Please let us know if there is a live stream that you want to see. Is there something that you want to jump into? Or is there a speaker out there that you would love for us to connect with? Whether that's, someone that you really look up to, someone that you think the rest of the audience would share that same interest, please let us know so we can get that lined up for you. Again, we want to make sure that we're providing that content every day at noon for these lunch and learns. The second thing is, or the last thing is, our goal is to do this every day at noon. And there might be little bonus episodes, especially when we're connecting with photographers like Paul last night. I mean, that was a 9 o'clock one because that was the only time that he was available. So he's shooting all day long. So it was kind of hard to schedule. As I'm working on other people besides myself to do this, it might be, you know, there might be some bonus episodes, but every day at noon, you can expect to see us here. A note about the PPA, I'm going to tell you guys about this until it is no longer available. I think it's a huge resource. Having been in the PPA my entire professional career, I ran the professional photographers out of Akron. I was the president there and on the board for the state. I'm a huge believer in professional organizations. I think that's where you can really connect with like-minded people and your business and your photography will flourish. So for the next couple of weeks, they're actually opening up all of their educational content to you, even if you're not a member. So I urge you to go over there and sign up. There is a ton of awesome content over there, especially if you're looking to make changes in your business during this downtime or learn an all new skill. So let's go ahead and get on. So what are our goals for today? These are the goals I go over every single live stream. And the number one is to update you on the photography related news that you may have missed throughout the week. I know that the news channels have been buzzing with everything about the virus and graphs and what could happen. I want to bring you back to your passion. Your passion is photography. The art that you do is photography. The reason you're here is photography. So I want to share that with you. Number two is, like I said, I want to get you away from the fear, uncertainty, and doubt that is out there. Join me for a half hour to an hour every day as we hang out. You know, we hang out, we talk shop, we share some information. It's kind of our little fireside chat. It's our way to distance ourselves from the negativity that's out there. We're just going to hang out in a group and talk photo. And I do see this kind of growing into a lot more community based. So whether that is, you know, sharing photos, whether that is highlighting certain artists, certain genres of photography, it's definitely going to become more and more of a two-way. You know, we want this to be bi-directional, not just going one way. So next is get you motivated to try something new. And in my newsletter that I put out every Friday, I start with the news, but I also share a ton of tutorials and trainings that I find throughout the week that I think would be helpful to you. And the idea is to get you motivated to try something outside of your comfort zone. So maybe you've always wanted to try time lapse. Well, you have time at home with a puzzle, time lapse it. One of my friends, Mike Northrup, just did that over like 2 days. They did, I believe, Legos, if I remember correctly, and they time lapsed the whole thing. Him and his daughter. It was super cool. So get outside your comfort zone and you might find something that could become a profitable niche in which you could make some real cash money. So let's jump into our news block. And as always, please, 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 if you have any questions, drop those into the chat. Let's see if anybody's over at the chat. Les Greenberg says, hello. Well, hello. Les is a great friend of the store, and thank you so much for joining us. So let's talk a little bit about the Olympics. Those have been in the news, I want to say, for the last like 3 years, 2 to 3 years, specifically in the camera industry. So why is it so important this year? It's kind of abnormal that there's been so much focus on the Olympics this year. Even when I worked at Panasonic, we were developing products for the 2020 Olympics to kind of go around this event. And why? Well, it's being held in Japan. So that's where a lot of the camera manufacturers are. That's where they're from. That's where they're, you know, based out of. So it's kind of like, you know, the athletes are coming to perform, you know, whether that's high jump, low, you know, all the different things, swimming, running, biking, all the things that are the Olympics. The camera companies are doing the same thing. So like we have our Photo Fest coming up and we were working with vendors and they're like, well, you know, this might be at the Olympics or that might be Olympics. Everything that these companies have is being thrown at the Olympics this year, but they have been thrown at the Olympics for the last couple years. So what, you know, if they are rescheduled, what does that mean? There are camera companies that have aligned all of their launches, all of their releases based on the Olympics being, you know, on the date that it is. So I think that it's gonna be very interesting, and I put the link to the article below. But kind of my take on it is, I think we're still gonna see a lot of these releases trickle out. but I think a lot of them are going to be held back based on supply chain now. So there's not as much of a rush to get them by the Olympics and then try to ship them. So now the companies actually have time to fix their supply chain and kind of delay the launch of those. So things that we might have seen right before the Olympics or a couple months before, I think they're going to be delayed a little bit longer, especially because there is some financial uncertainty, supply chain uncertainty. Companies are constantly moving and changing. So I think this is going to be it's a big deal in our industry, but I don't necessarily, when I look at things, I don't necessarily see the doom and gloom. I see it as just being a little bit different. So cameras are going to be maybe a little bit more spread out, or they might not launch them right before. But this is upsetting. It's upsetting for the athletes that have been training to perform at this event. It is, it sucks for all of the photographers that were going over there to cover the event, but they're talking about rescheduling it. So, it will happen at some point. But as far as the photography industry is related, I think we're either going to see all of those announcements happen, but then we're going to be delayed on when we can get them, or the actual announcement is going to be delayed a little bit. So this was interesting. So Polaroid is back. It's like you think it goes away and then boom, it's back. I remember going to Vegas a couple years ago and they had their own store even. It was a Polaroid store. But I saw a friend of mine sent me this article, and it's now called Polaroid Originals. So it is the Polaroid name, and they have unveiled a new Polaroid Now camera. So it's just like the kind of vintage Polaroid, but you can, the whole, you shake it like a Polaroid picture. It's that same idea, but basically what they're doing is they're kind of refocusing it. And instead of getting like a Polaroid, all these weird Polaroid accessories where their name was basically purchased or borrowed to put on products, now it seems like they're trying to refocus that brand a little bit and refocus on that print film. And, they launched this new camera, and I'm sure there's going to be more to come. So you can check out, again, all these links I can send you. But if you do a Google search for Polaroid Now, you'll find this new camera. Honestly, I think it's a little too late as far as the camera itself. Fuji keeps just knocking it out of the park with their Instax line. They keep adding new features that I think are actually pretty cool. I have my square right over here to my left. Actually, I believe, yes, our Fuji rep just joined us. Perfect timing. Hello, Jackie. So a couple years ago, I picked up a couple of the instant print Instax cameras because I think they're great for younger kids to kind of document their stories and actually get prints. I think it's important that we teach and train all of our, this younger generation to print, and cameras like the Fuji Instax and the Polaroid are just really, really cool. And there's a novelty to them because they're not used to seeing them. So before I go on to the next one, let's jump into the comments here really quick. Raymond Nason says, Reverend Ray says, hi, TJ. Hello, hello. We have Danny joining us. Great thing for kids. I agree. I think that this next generation definitely needs to print. And I think the novelty of these Polaroid cameras, they're bright, colorful, super easy to use. I think it's good for photography and printing in general. So this one was interesting. So imaging.canon. So Canon has tried to do a web service for a very long time. And they've kind of retooled how it worked. So I've been ignoring this. Honestly, I'm a Canon shooter. I have a whole, shelves of lenses and cameras over here, shooting on a Canon. I'm a big Canon guy now. But this web service I never really cared about, and I never really thought I would use it. I felt like it was a very consumer tool. And as I looked at it this morning, it looks like it actually could be a really, really cool tool. So the idea is the camera will take a photo, it'll automatically update to a temporary gallery, and it'll be there for 30 days. From there, you can have it automatically download images. You can also have it automatically forward images to things like Google Drive and Google Photos. And then they're giving us 10 gigs of long-term service. So outside of that 30 days, they're giving us that kind of longer period, that what's usually called glacial storage, where you're not going to be transacting, uploading, downloading. It's like a storage point. And then you'll be able to share those images out and play those images right from the web browser. So how would I use this as a photographer? So I'm going to jump into the kind of wedding demographics. So a lot of our mobile plans are now unlimited. So I'm not worried about, I'm thinking on a wedding day, for me just to have this on and have it constantly backing up. I would love for, to show up and all of my photos are just sitting on my computer, even if it's just a backup, even if they end up just doing JPEGs, that's fine. An automatic backup on the wedding day, I take a photo, it then goes and gets automatically uploaded. And then I can do a same-day slideshow at the wedding reception. I can have people already working on those photos, you know, and doing editing, retouch to get the first look up. So let's switch gears now to a landscape photographer. So I just think back to my recent trip to Ireland. I would love it at the end of the day. I can just turn my camera on, connect it to the Wi-Fi, and all of my photos just back up. And they're going to back up. All original images stay for 30 days. So that gives me enough time to get back and pull all those images down, or I can have them automatically go into Google Photos. Because again, this is me exploring with my wife, and this time it was with my mother-in-law. So these are personal images to me. So I am actually super excited about this, and that is coming April 14th. We'll probably do a hands-on kind of view on how all this works at a later date, but if you are a Canon shooter, I wanted to point this out to you. Firmware updates, woohoo! Jackie, if you're still here, super excited about these firmware updates. X-T3 got like a... It was more of a just fix bugs and things like that. And I was reading through some of the Fuji forums, if you will, and you know, it's basically just not necessarily fixing bugs, just making it better. And that's Fuji is really, really good about taking cameras that might have been a little bit older, but adding firmware updates to add features and fixing bugs. They don't just put it out there and do it Ron Popeil style where you just set it and forget it. They're constantly updating these cameras to make them better. And honestly, the X-T30 I think had got a lot of the updates, and adding gimbal support, some movie controls. Again, I have the whole link in here for the for all the announcements. But if you are a Fuji user on X-T3, X-T30, or the 16 to 80, then definitely go download, check, and update the firmware. If you have any questions on that, please feel free to reach out. Jackie also says, get a free grip right now. That's right. I believe that's the X-T3 has a promotion going on. And I mentioned this in an earlier talk and about the birding. I actually brought up the X-T3 because you can put an extra 2 batteries in there and go all day long. So thank you for that, Jackie. Facebook user says, hi, TJ. Hello, Facebook user. If you are joining us from Facebook, there is a link in the post that you just click and it'll authenticate, so that way we can see your smiling face, just like we have Ray's smiling face right here. So let's move right along. So this is interesting. Nissi unveils the cutest filter system for the X100 system. I feel like this is like the Fuji thing, but honestly, news this week, usually I have to like whittle it down to find news. It was a little rough this week. So this stuff like this is actually super cool. So I fell in love. If you go on our YouTube channel, you'll see the X100V videos. I have it down here. I just took it to Vegas with me for just a weekend, and that's all I shot with. That's the only camera that I took with me, and I re-fell in love with... Oh, we're ringing here, sorry. And I re-fell in love with Fuji. I've been a Fuji user for a long time on and off, but the X100V for me was that one that really made me go, okay, I'm getting back into this. What's really cool about this update is now we can put the one of the things it struggles with is obviously, you don't have if you have normal filter system, the screw-ons, you'd have to get the smaller sizes. Now Nissi actually came out with this the ability to use these more rectangle filters, and they have a couple that they announced for this size, but now you can use all of your filters on the X100V system, and this goes, I think, all the way back, yeah, to the original X100. So if you are an X100 shooter, it's not just the V, it's the entire X100, X100S, S100T, X100V. Yes, an X100V. I was making sure I counted them all right. But yes, you can now have a full filter system with the little, if you want graduated or any of those different filters, you can now use them on the X100 system. So let's jump into the education and tutorials block. So I want to thank Eeyore for finding a couple of these for me. These were actually a little bit better than the ones I found. So how to create depth. So this is a really, really great tutorial for landscape photographers. And it talks about how you can, you add depth to your landscape photography in order to give people a sense of presence on how large something is. So this is one thing I struggled with in Ireland. When I was in Ireland, they have the Cliffs of Moher, and they're just so ginormous when you're there. But how do you convey that through a photo? How do you know, how can you tell people how grandiose these are? So great YouTube video here, pretty short, just a couple minutes long. Definitely take a look at that. And again, all these links, just email us. We'll be able to send all these links out to you. The next one is camera lamp hack that anyone could do. This is pure genius, especially right now as people need, you know, they're doing stuff like this and they don't have a tripod, or maybe they don't have enough tripods. Turns out that on your lamp, that is actually the 1/4 screw mount that all of our cameras have. So this is a video, I'll save you the time. It's really just the idea that you can put your camera, you take the lampshade off, and you can actually put your camera on top. So I threw that in there as well because I think that's a really good idea, especially for people that don't have tripods right now, but are forced to have to, you know, put up lights and have to set up their cameras and things like that. So very cool. This was a behind the scenes. I think you can get a lot of information, a lot of technique, a lot of good knowledge from behind the scenes. And this one is no different. So this is actually behind the scenes on a commercial sports photo shoot. So this is something that I actually got some ideas to do a senior shoot based on this, especially if you are a senior shooter, or, you know, you are doing any commercial stuff with like fitness or, you know, sports, any of the sportswear, things like that. This is an awesome behind the scenes. Also, it's kind of just cool to see how, you know, the director works to direct these photo shoots. And this is something that a lot of us wouldn't have any insight into. We don't spend a lot of time on set, or we're not able to, you know, do that. So I definitely it's a really, really cool video. I watched through the whole thing. I actually took some notes on things that I want to try with my seniors. Definitely take a look at it, get some inspiration there. So moving on, Lightroom editing with curves. This was a really cool video. This is a relatively new YouTuber out there. He's trying to do like 30 videos in 30 days. He's on day 4. I think he only had like 100 or 200 subscribers, but I love this tutorial because it really jumps into curves. And I think a lot of people try Lightroom and it just doesn't give them what they feel, what they want, because they're moving the sliders back and forth, or they're just using presets. I think the real power in Lightroom comes in when you start learning how to use the curves. And in this tutorial, he goes through to kind of give a more filmic, more film-like look to your photos. And it's super easy to understand and follow along. So if you are looking for a new editing style or a new way to edit, and you're wondering what this little histogram with this line on top of it in Lightroom is, definitely check out this video. I think that learning this way will just make you, just make your images pop just a little bit better. So Vanessa Joy. So Vanessa Joy, we announced she is coming to our conference here in a couple months. I actually just texted her this morning after I read this article, and I said, it's such an inspiration. Like, it's awesome that she's a mom, she's a wedding photographer, wedding portrait photographer, influencer as well. She's up, her content game is off the hook. And in this video, she kind of talks a little bit about, how she was super busy, but she knew that she needed to focus on her health, and she started doing home workouts. So even balancing, work, life, multiple works, she has all these things that are going on, plus life, plus kids, and then she still was able to get herself to a point where she did this fitness photo shoot. And in here, there's a couple goodies. Number one, she opened up her social media course for anybody to join, but also she kind of vlogged her whole process on, how she started working out to the point where she, was able to do this fitness photo shoot. She had a photographer do this fitness photo shoot with her. And honestly, just looking at the images too, I got a lot of good ideas for, if I ever wanted to or had to do a commercial exercise shoot or something like that. I got a lot of really cool lighting ideas, different perspectives, things like that. So definitely check out that article. It's over on SLR Lounge. And again, Vanessa Joy will be here, so get familiar with her. She's an awesome, awesome photographer and a great friend. Rumor Roundup, Channel R, Inner Woody. There's a snake in my boots. So what do we have? Okay, more Fuji news. I mean, Fuji is just killing it. Always. So some new patents were filed. Again, this is Rumor Roundup. We know absolutely nothing about any of this. So we read it just like you read it. So they patented a new 300mm f4 and then also a 500 5.6. So it looks like we might be getting some longer glass. I will say though, a lot of times these patents are filed and then we never see any of these designs come out. So it's not like because we have this cool looking diagram, we're going to see it in the, photography industry. You know, this could be something that's used in commercial application, you know, whether that is, you know, a super small lens for, you know, surveillance, for broadcast, for automotive. Like, we don't know what could ever happen with these, but I am hopeful that we are going to get some more long glass from Fuji. I think that would be awesome, especially if I do end up switching, which I'm kind of leaning, like I'm leaning that way. So also, my other passion. So I'm an M shooter most of the time. I have the EOS M5 and the M6 Mark II, and I have every lens that is out for the M. And I say that, and you're like, dang, you bought all those lenses? It is approximately 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 8 M lenses, if my math is correct, looking at them. That's not a lot for a system. I mean, yes, you can adapt everything, but the M system, like, they keep putting out really good cameras. I mean, the M6 Mark II is a phenomenal camera. The M50, for all the features, is a great starter camera. It looks like we might be actually getting some more lenses, and some lenses that I think are super important. So the ones that I'm most excited about are that 52 millimeter, that f2. I think that's going to be awesome. That's kind of a focal length that I've been missing out on. But it's interesting that we're now starting to see some 2.8 to 4 lenses, some more pro-like lenses for this system. The lenses are okay, but I feel like I still needed more. You know, on my trip I took to Ireland, I took my M gear, and I felt like I needed a little bit more zoom. I found that, you know, just build quality, they just didn't feel like the Panasonic stuff that I was used to, the Fuji, any of the other crop lines that are out there. I just don't feel like they're, and maybe they aren't made for that, but I wish that, you know, they would put more R&D in the M line, so we can see more announcements like that. But it's good to see they haven't abandoned it, you know, especially for someone that's invested in the system. It doesn't look like they're abandoning it anytime soon. Eeyore says XT4 and the 500 5.6 for birding. He is in love. I can't agree with you more on that one. So moving on. So the rumor mill has been churning on the R5 and the R6. So earlier this week, Canon confirmed that the R5 is a mirrorless replacement for the 5D. So that's kind of where it falls in the line. There's been a lot of uncertainty on, like, where does the EOS R fit into the EOS R5 and the 6, and now they're still coming out with a 1DX. Is there going to be a new 5D Mark 17? Like, what? There's a lot of uncertainty in that, and Canon did confirm that this is the camera that would replace the 5D in that lineup. So now we're starting to see some more and more rumors come out on the R6. So the R6 is supposed to be positioned as its kind of its little brother, kind of like the 60 was. And the specs that are out so far, they're very, very uncertain, but it is looking like we have 4K up to 20 frames per second and dual cards. My biggest hope is that both of these cameras do have in-body image stabilization to work with the in-lens, and I hope it's as good, if not better, than the other, you know, systems that are out there. Canon has done a really good job this year of getting people kind of wrapped in and pulled in to that. I mean, they've been pretty much ignored for the last couple of years in the mirrorless race, and now they're just dropping these bombs of what, you know, of the cameras and the lenses, and, you know, they're number one for the 17th year in a row officially, as far as interchangeable lens cameras. I think this is going to keep them up there on that lead, as long as they even if half of these specs are true with the R5 and R6, I think they're definitely going to get a lot of attention in the community. So questions. Does anybody have any questions for me, for anything about any of the articles that we talked about? One of the questions that I got was, how do I get those slides? And you can shoot us an email at sales@thepixelconnection.com. You can message us on Instagram and we'll send you that link, or you can follow us along on Facebook. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, remember, we are open all days except for Sunday, and we are open from 1 to 5. I'm actually going to jump in my car and drive as fast as I can to the store, within limits. I'm not going to speed. I made that mistake 2 weeks ago and had to pay a speeding ticket, but I will be at the store. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Thank you guys so much for joining, and I hope you have an awesome weekend. We'll see you.